Hello, my name's Caroline Donnelly. I am from the Mac Pro team and I'm with Scottish Ballet's Eve Muzzo. We're going to be creating a makeup for Hansel and Gretel which is inspired by the witch. So I'm going to apply a mixture of the Pro Longwear concealer and the Pro Longwear foundation. I'm going to use this 130 brush. The reason I like this brush is it pushes the makeup right into the pores, but it still leaves a good amount of coverage on it. The concealer brush is the little 195 brush. It's a little synthetic brush. It fits all into them little angles on the face well. So I'm not going to powder the makeup quite yet because I'm going to use a product which is kind of like a waterproof eyeshadow. It's MAC Paint Pot and it's this colour here. So it's kind of like the kind of colour that you would use if you were going to use a sculpting powder. I always think if you pick a colour that's close to the real shadows of the face that you know that you're onto a winner. I am using the 168 brush which has a little angle on it. I tend to put the colour on this part of the brush here and this bit I'm going to stick into the under the cheekbones, into that groove of the face there, and then this bit where it's clean is going to blend that out for me a little bit. So we're going to build this up quite strong so that it's really nice and effective from a distance. Kind of little rule is draw an imaginary curved line from the top of the ear to the corner of the mouth and then kind of stop it where the iris starts. And you've got a nice little nose as well, but if this needs a little bit of help you can also use this product and just give a little bit of contour down the sides of the nose as well. And if you exaggerated these areas that I am kind of contouring now, if you imagine that in a much darker colour, you could actually make the face look quite skeletal. You could even darken in the nose area, you could even darken under the chin. Kind of that would make it look quite Halloweeny if I was going on a stronger colour. I'm going to now curl Eve's eyelashes, which is the part of a makeup that quite often people don't enjoy doing very much. The trick to doing this is do it before eyeshadow or eyeliner and keep this part of the eyelash curlers closer to the lid. This keeps it kind of away from the bit of the skin where the eyelashes come from. I'm using an invisible powder which is available from Mac Pro. It doesn't have any colour in. You can put plenty on of this. As I say, because it's invisible, even if you can see it a little bit when you first put it on, the colour does actually disappear.
And when I, for example, smudge my face to somebody's costume, that doesn't come off, does it? No,
good, yeah.
That's good.
MAC Bare Canvas paint is used a lot as an eyeshadow base. It's a really good sort of way to make the makeup very long lasting. We're going to do a big sort of traditional ballet liner now. I'm using Black Track. I'm using a little brush called a 209. I always start by putting the black line across this part of the lid and then the black line across that part of the lid, and then I do the ticks on the side which tend to be the more difficult bits. I'll quite often mark out the liner when the eye's open so I can see that it looks beautiful when it's looked at the way it's going to be viewed, rather than do it with the eyes closed and then find out it's not so attractive once the eye is actually open. So to get the symmetry, I always start with the easy side, the side that I find easier, and then I'll just do a little mark on the other side. Put the head backwards and forwards and you'll be able to see whether you've got good symmetry. If you feel quite happy with that, then you can go in and draw it a little bit more sort of solid. Have a look up for me. Now I'm going to follow the shape of the eye underneath with the same brush and the same product. This is easier if you try and do it in as little amount of strokes as possible. The lines drawn further down makes the eye look really big. So if you were going to do kind of a Halloween look that was maybe based on a doll or something like that, you could also kind of use this trick to get that look going. If you're doing eyeliner, always keep some little cotton buds handy and a little bit of non-oily cleanser. This will be your best friend. It'll help make everything go nice and smooth. So what I'm going to do now is draw an exaggerated socket line as well. I'm going to start by using a little bit of this product again. So this needs to be done while the eye is open. And because it's an exaggerated socket line, I want to dot where the socket line really is. I'm going to use a very dark grey eyeshadow with a matte texture, and this is called typographic. It's kind of almost black. So I'm going to use a 217 brush. This is kind of tapered at the tip and it goes a little bit wider. I'm going to use it and really exaggerate that black line through there, that dark grey line. So this look, you see, you could apply to quite a lot of different kinds of Halloween characters. Anything where you want to do kind of an exaggerated female makeup. I'm going to ignore the real eyebrows a little bit and kind of make them higher and longer. So I'm going to go with a colour called Stud, which is a dark brown. To get a good bit of symmetry, start with the lower brow, because you can't bring the other brow up to meet the other one, but you can bring the higher brow down to meet the other one. If you're quite fair like Eve is, you can kind of get away with cheating the shape and not worrying too much. If you have darker hair, you could either cheat the shape of your own brow using this darker colour, or you could even put a little bit of concealer over your real hair, and that would hide the dark of it. So I'm going to use a light coloured eyeshadow. This one I'm using is called Mylar. Vanilla's one I use quite a lot as well. So I'm just going to put that with a brush that's got a little bit of firmness to it. This helps the colour to really pack on, and I'm just kind of exaggerating that brow bone there. This is also a good way, if you're not very good at blending, just to blend those edges down a little bit, soften them out a bit. Now I'm going to use a white kohl pencil. This one is called Fascinating, and I'm just going to pop a little bit underneath the arch of the eyebrow. This is going to help to lift it up again. This also would help to hide some of your natural brows if you were doing it on yourself. You can put a little bit on the hand if you find it hard to blend, and take it with the same brush and apply it like an eyeshadow. This is an easier way of blending. And you can also put it on just above the eyebrow as well, and this helps just to pop that bone shape out a little bit, so it helps with the contour of the face.
Make the face really three-dimensional.
Exactly, yeah. Now I'm going to put just a little bit above the eye there. If you look up for me, I'm going to go inside the eye. Now this pencil is very soft, so you can go inside the eye and it doesn't feel scratchy or hard. And then we're going to draw above the black line as well. So don't put mascara if you do want to use mascara on the bottom lashes, because it's going to kind of counteract what we want the white to do, which is going to make the white area look larger. I'm going to use another 168 brush. You could use your own, you know, the one that you've already used if you wanted to. And I'm going to use a colour called Melba. I think even if it's a bit more of a horror look, or whether it's a beauty look, I think it's always nice to have a little bit of blusher in, because I think most people still want to look pretty even if they're doing a horror look or anything. Again, this has no shine to it. I think no matter what colour the skin is, whether it's very light or very, very dark, if you go for something that has a peachiness or an orangeness in it, or a kind of a coppery colour, it always kind of suits the skin tone. Now I'm going to go for some lashes. So you can put mascara on the lashes if you want to. From a distance it doesn't make any difference. If you were going to wear this for a Halloween party, I'd say maybe just put a little bit of mascara on the roots so you can't see them against the black of the real eyelashes. The trick is with these are number 12, so I'm using here. Before you put the glue on, is to just rest them on the eye and see if they're the right length. If they're a little bit too long, cut them off from the longest side so this bit doesn't start too sort of long. And put them further towards the edge of the eye. This keeps them more comfortable. I'm going to use a glue called Duo Glue. So just a little bit along the spine of the lash is actually enough to help it to grip on there nicely. Now I'm just putting one set of lashes on here. This has given quite a dramatic look. Depending on how dramatic you wanted it to be, you could even put another set of them on if you wanted to. It can stay like this, or the eyes can go even bigger at this stage. So if you wanted to make them bigger, use something like a 266 angle brush, and the same eyeshadows we used on the top. And if you look up for me, you can kind of blend this colour down, this grey eyeshadow, and this will kind of add even more drama and even more width to the eye. I like the drama of it, and I think it lends itself great to the stage and great also for Halloween looks. It's a kind of the kind of time of the year when you can wear as much makeup as you want and it looks right. I'm going to apply a really, really bright red lip now. I'm going to use a matte colour, which if you do need to overdraw is the most kind of effective because it doesn't have any shiny edges that catches the light. Start in the middle and draw around the Cupid's bow. Now I'm going to slightly overdraw Eve's lips, even though she's got a great lip shape, just because this is going to be shown from, seen from a real distance. And then once you're happy with what you've got here, work down in little strokes. It's much easier to copy little strokes from side to side than it is to do a big shape and then try and replicate that on the other side. Then we also start in the middle of the bottom lip and do the same kind of thing, work out in small little strokes. This is called cherry pencil. So the way to get the symmetry checked is very similar to checking the eyeliner symmetry. Put the head right back and look at it in that angle. Anything that's not quite right you can see much clearer once the head's, you're not looking at it straight on, and then tip the head right forward. I'm going to use this editorial palette of red lipsticks, and I'm going to use this colour here called Ruby Woo. This is my kind of everyday favourite one. I'm going to use the 316, which is great when you're using reds because you can fold it up so it doesn't go all over your makeup bag. Really load the brush up, makes it a lot easier. So this red here suits all different skin tones. You could go with lots of different looks. You could go deeper if you wanted to. You could go brighter if you wanted to. This is a good kind of classic red. The beauty of overdrawn with a matte lipstick is it doesn't have any reflective surfaces. So if you were going to use a kind of a more creamy or a sort of more lip glossy type of lipstick, you would be able to see the edges. You see the light's not hitting off the corner of the lip that I've overdrawn. A lot of people think that to make a lip look bigger you would use a lip gloss, but it's very reflective around the edge, which is why you can always see if somebody's done that. Whereas with a matte, it's just lying there, so it's much harder to detect the edges. So Eve has the tricky trick of having to change her makeup from being a beautiful witch into an evil witch, and she has to do this in the wings very quickly. So what we're going to do is show you how to take a really beautiful makeup and make it into something much more creepy and much more eerie. What I'm going to use is only 2 products to do it. A pack of wipes, makeup wipes, and a darker shade of what we'd already put here. And she's going to use her fingers for this, so she doesn't even need to look into a mirror. So when you kind of feel a round of taking the eyebrows off, and all of a sudden that even gives it a stranger look. You want to leave your eyelashes on, and we're going to kind of smudge in some of the eyeliner so you can kind of get it a little bit wet, and then use the finger to really kind of mess that up. And then we're going to do the same with the lips. Take a little bit off if you want. You can really smudge it around the lips and make it look kind of a little bit kind of creepy, a little bit kind of clown-like. And then really quickly, I'm going to use a little bit of quite natural paint pot and put it underneath the eyes. This is going to make her look more tired. And then we're going to have a little bit on the lip as well. And then that's it. So if you look in the mirror, I think it'll be interesting to see how you feel about yourself, the way you felt before when you had the beautiful makeup on, to how does it make you feel now?
Yeah, it definitely helps with the character. Yeah, I think it'll be a perfect Halloween makeup for, you know, wherever you go. Trick and treating, party, work.